Hello, traders. It's Eve from MarketWizards.com, reminding traders to use risk capital you can afford to lose. And it's around noon on the 30th of October, 2022. All right, today we're going to have a skull session, and we're going to just go over macro view of the E-mini S&P. And the NASDAQ, we'll take a couple of minutes for that as well, just to check in and see how things are looking on a bigger picture. Very quickly, we start with just a look at clarity without a lot of lines and without a lot of indicators, and just try to get a feel for things like perhaps a head and shoulders top, and then a reaction back in towards the highs, and then another subsequent leg down. And here we are bouncing, obviously. So the question on everybody's mind, of course, is, are we looking at a sustainable bounce, or is this another one of those rallies in a bear market that is going to fall apart? And I know David Hunter is eagerly awaiting to see if this push can really get some legs and make a believer out of people who have, tossed his ideas aside. But I still think he's a very smart trader, and I like listening to his podcasts and his thoughts. So looking at this, we obviously can see, this high, the reaction high up here is in control for the short side until it gets beat. And obviously the low down here that we had last week. So let's take a look at a couple of other ideas and try to put them together for the E-mini S&P. And there is no one right answer until hindsight, obviously, but we look to see if we can get an edge in the market. So I'm looking at a frame of this year's range, and we can tell that obviously this reaction high is near the middle. From what it looks like from my viewpoint is we've held last year's low. We're back into the range. Did an undercut low there. We also did an undercut low back here at the 665 area, and found some support in our bouncing. And these red lines I put here to mark the middle of those boxes. So we can see on this chart that clearly the last few weeks have been very good to the bulls to reject the lows and say, no, we're coming back. And this is a 456 trade right now, where the next target is actually coming up here to we've got to break this high, obviously. And we've got FOMC coming and elections coming. So those are big macro events that are going to determine things as well. But it appears that the longs are trying to get back here to test the 39.92s, knock out these highs, make them run and squeeze them. And on a powerful day, a reversal like the last couple of days, pretty significant attempt to knock out these highs. And that's the game, always try to knock out the other guy's stops, So I'm thinking that this support down here, this is support until broken. This rotation tells me they're trying to come up and do a 40 back. Here's 50, here's 60 back. So in the way I look at charts, this is the first objective for the longs, and obviously these support lows back here are important. And you'll note that these levels here respected that 37.50, which I keep saying is a major pivot in the mini right now. So I believe that 37.50 is support until broken, clearly, and the attempt to come back up here and do some retracing. And seasonally, that's possible. We know that markets can turn on a dime, but right now, that's what this chart looks like to me. And if we put this into a little bit with even more information on it, And sometimes it just gets overwhelming. That's why I try not to do too much on any one chart. But it is helpful to try to overlay different ideas. So we can see right now in this chart that we're trying to hold these lines down here and push. And this is what I call the funnel. And obviously trying to get up to the magenta line and before that, 39.92s. So in my opinion, these moving averages also support the idea that we are bouncing and going north side rather than coming back down here immediately. Now, if we open up gap down or something and come back through here, then overnight, then obviously that idea is wrong and not ready to do that yet. But to me, that's what this strong close is. Looks like they're trying to run some stops. And if we go back and look at the weekly measures and a bigger picture here, um, this is pretty conclusive evidence in my mind that we've had a pretty good size run and we've come back 50%, right? If we're using just what I just showed you, here's your 40 back, here's your 50 back, here's your 60 back. So it looks like the E-mini is trying to hold that 34.92, which would be 34.91, which would be the middle of that spread. So to me, it's pretty conclusive that we've come down 8 boxes and now we're bouncing back. And could we do an 842? Maybe an 842 is where this comes down here, 8 boxes, bounces 4, and then comes back 2. So you never know. All we do is say right now this is the range that is being resolved by the E-mini S&P. And that is the next target that I have on the long side. And obviously last week's low is support until broken using that idea. So the middle pivot on this is actually 38.28 and a half. That should be the middle pivot between this line and this line. And that's the way I analyze markets, whether they're 10-minute charts or 1-minute charts, or whether they're a weekly chart. So that's what I've got to say about the E-mini S&P, and we'll see what happens. All right, the NQ. Again, framing it from a couple of highs, this obviously is a resistance zone, came down and basically tested the 10.5 area. We can see that's a pretty good size range, obviously, that we have to negotiate, and we're going to have some back and forth. And I think if we look at some charts here, we're going to see that this is obviously not as strong as the E-mini S&P. The NQ clearly still under last year's low, right? Again, mark the middle of these boxes for a little convenience, and we can see that we're right here at the middle of this box at the close. The settle was back at the 187, I believe it was. So, this is a lot of fluff they threw in at the end of the day, but simply by doing that, they can easily challenge these highs and knock out stops before they reverse. So I would have to say, looking at this, that obviously the support box, this double that was put together at the end of the week, very important to hold. And pushing north side, trying to break this downtrend line that I've noticed here for a while. So currently this 624 is the middle of that box, and the long's trying to get above these highs and come back up and test the 12,005 area. If they can do that, and obviously the next target for the longs would be to try to bust into last year's range. So I think all of this is fairly significant right now. And this blue line right here is marking the undercut low where these June lows were taken out, and now we are bouncing, got a little bit of an inverted head and shoulders trying to work here. You can see that right from the middle here. It's 865 area, this low, and these lows in here trying to hold and come back that direction long side. So we shall see. You never know in markets. All you can do is do your best to try to analyze these things and then take it one step at a time. I had suggested, again, overlaying, trying to bust this channel line and moving averages. We can see the 937 pivot that I had suggested was support until broken, clearly is going to be an important idea going forward. And so until these lows break in here, we're still pushing long side, attempting to get out of jail. So this is the box that's being resolved right now. This 1244.5. Can we use a 1250? Major pivot that I suggested was the key. I think so. I think, if you're too anal in this business, forget it. So 1250 is a major pivot. And that's, in my opinion, is the aggressive support, trying to get out of Dodge and come back in this direction. Looking at the weekly look, I'm taking a look at the middle. We've had a deeper pullback, certainly. 456 trade, never got to 6 yet, but certainly did get 50 plus coming south side. 587 is that settle that we talked about. And so we can see this is the range that's being resolved. This yellow ellipse that I put here is the range. And if you've got any more time to listen, the next chart will explain significantly the ideas that I use in my system, and they should help you with your trading. Okay, this is a look at a smaller time frame, under 20 minutes. Again, we're doing a macro look, and I want to explain what I believe is the essence of the market that most people don't, and have all these crazy indicators, and that's how they sell systems, because those are things that are, quote, proprietary. But I pay attention to the natural ideas, and let me explain that. So here's that inverted head and shoulders I talked about, possibly running through here. And let's take a look at some levels that were important. 937.5 pivot support I had suggested. Okay, we can see that little double, and that's holding true. This is last month's low in here, and that was one of the reasons I was focused on that 1124 area, 1120 area last week. And also the monthly open was 1130, and that was protected on Friday, clearly protected on Thursday, clearly. Let's hold this, and let's keep this positive. TGO, that was today's Globex open. That was the open for the day on Friday. So that was protected. The weekly open was 11,393.75. That was another target that I had, and so we need to get above that. And if we can get above that, then things are looking good for the longs. So just in this one missile that they put together in the last 2 days, shaking out all of the longs, making all the shorts believe this was going to be shooting fish in a barrel. And this kick saved the day, it saved the month, saved the week. As long as we can hold up above this 11,030, then the month is also going to close positive. So this area right here, this 732 area, plus or minus a point or two on these highs, is going to be the key going forward. And can we knock those out and get back up into the targets that we had talked about? So this explains my system clearly, and the things that I am looking at, along with other things to develop targets. But these are natural ideas that are much more important in my mind than all of the hokey indicators people put together out there. I hope it helps your trading. All right. If there's anything I can do to help you, you know how to find me. for marketwizards.com. And I hope you enjoyed today's skull session. Have a great day, guys.